it's very, very interesting how the technology has progressed. I mean, could we see human bone with flesh over it without an X-ray? Not at this point.
Okay. Dr. O'Malley, just to bring you up to speed, I've asked Dr. Curatola for general protocol and what he has said, and you could tell me, Dr. Curatola, if I got this right, to brush twice a day for 2 minutes. He's recommending we floss with the water floss device that he has, get cleanings, adults like 4 times a year, tongue cleaning, yes, and probably twice a day. And he's recommending like every 5 years, the CBCT cone beam. So that's the general protocol we've discussed as I'm continuing to ask questions. Anything you want to add or change to that?
No, I think that's right on target. I didn't even think about the CBCT being done every 5 years. So I think that's a good preventative thing to make sure there's nothing growing, lurking, hiding, etc. Because if they are in the jawbone, they can be pretty toxic and harmful to the overall body-wide system. So it's a good thing to look for and keep an eye on.
Okay.
So we're really finding dental X-rays far less useful. We're talking about bite wings that would show decay between teeth. Now we have transillumination. We don't have to expose a patient to bite wings. There's some really terrific transillumination devices to look for interproximal decay. Then we were talking about CBCT. For example, I could have a cyst in my jaw, but on a 2-dimensional X-ray, here is the outside cortical bone of the lower jaw, the mandible, and here's the inside, and where my head is the cyst. You'd never be able to see that, even on one of those panoramic X-rays. They're 2-dimensional. So 3D is going to give us information that could prevent real problems down the road for some patients.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
I agree. And I like the idea. I mean, my area that I've done a lot of research and development into is how do we bring about balance in the bacterial dysbiosis, let's say, or the bacterial imbalance that happens in the mouth. And it's sort of the missing ingredient, because we're great at burning it out, cutting it out, killing it, finding it, getting rid of it, all these things. But how do we bring the mouth back to balance again? So that's where I worked really hard to try to find some all natural things and patented them to help, not as a pitch to my company, but for people that are looking for a way to help rebalance their mouth, they really should look at ways to kill the harmful bacteria naturally, but also what they can do to rebalance is use a good oral probiotic. And the Great Oral Health Company, mine has 7 strains in it, and 3 of the strains are meant to help hold the other strains to the mouth and to the tissues longer than if you just dumped 2 or 3 strains in there. So, it's an attempt to do things that bring about a nice natural balance, because if we don't do that, we're fighting. I think it becomes an uphill battle over time. Wouldn't you agree, Jerry?
Yeah. Now, and Paul, I'm so glad to hear you use the word rebalance.
Rebalance.
Because for so long, dentists, and I have to say that Paul and I are exceptions, because the majority of dentists are still stuck in the germ theory of kill everything, just kill it. And we're both, and the great thing is that we're both students of the oral microbiome. I began research in the oral microbiome in 2004, and I was going in a prebiotic direction. And Paul, I know you were going in a probiotic direction, but everything was about recognizing the importance of this beneficial ecology that not only keeps us alive, but it aids in digestion. It produces nitric oxide. It helps with so many different things. And dentists, dental hygienists are all like, kill plaque, kill plaque, kill plaque, kill. They parrot this old science that is still perpetuated by the major oral care products manufacturers, where people like Paul and myself who develop products that support and nourish this indigenous ecology that's as unique as our DNA.
Okay, that's
the
right.
Oral microbiome.
You're right.
Went to dental school. Yeah, the
It
oral
is the key,
microbiome
the healthy
transports
microbiome is key.
transports minerals to your teeth so you can remineralize. And it
Right.
transports molecular oxygen to your gums and takes ionic oxygen and free radicals away from the gums. So these germs that we used to call are actually an essential ecology, but we have to respect it. You know, my mantra for the past 20 years, now almost 20 years, has been make peace with your microbes.
I
Make
love
peace
that.
with your microbes. That's my mantra. Make peace with your microbes. Don't kill them. Just nourish
I
them.
like that. Well,
And Paul had the magic word. And I love the prebiotic strains that you've come up with and everything. But a probiotic, I'm a prebiotic, but prebiotic and probiotic are all nourishing and supporting this essential ecology that gives you not only oral health, but systemic health as well.
Okay, let me ask you. I have like 100 questions, so give me short answers so I can get through it and get okay?
We'll try.
All right.
We'll try.
All right. So the general question, a lot of people are thinking, this is silly. We don't need to have dentists. I have a dentist. He's a great guy. My mother, I've been using him for 35 years. He's really likable and I like him a lot. So why should we listen to, we already have a dentist and he seems like he knows everything really good. So what's different about the way you practice dentistry than the dentist down the street who's going to retire soon, but he's a really, really nice guy?
Great guy. You know, that reminds me, it reminds me when I went to dental school and we had a family dentist who was like, he was dating my aunt, my father's youngest sister. And he was a great guy, super charming, and everybody loved him. And I got to dental school and I remember calling my mother and saying, Mom, nothing in my mouth looks like the textbook. So a dentist is judged by everything but the quality of his work, Steve.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's you know, it's nice that they have a nice personality, but you know, if someone comes to see me and their teeth are in great shape, everything's holding up well, etc., I'm not going to necessarily coach them on too many things. I'll ask them, what are you doing? Good. Keep that up. You're doing a good job. I mean, that's kind of, they've found a balance for themselves, you know, but you know, when I was in Texas years ago, there was a colleague out there practicing and sadly, and it's rare because most of the dentists are really good and they try their very best, but he just did not have very good hands. He probably should have been a physician, a non-surgical type physician or whatever. But, you know, so I would see a lot of his dentistry and things like that. And I just basically said, everybody that would come in and say, yeah, but he's such a nice guy. And I thought, okay, well, you know, the bottom line is where the rubber meets the road. Are you feeling better? Are your teeth healthy? Are you losing teeth? Do you have a mouthful of root canals that really weren't needed maybe in the first place? Those are the things to look at because that's a whole nother subject, Jerry. I mean, the effect of root canals long-term in a person's mouth.
Yeah. And I'm sure Steve will have a few questions about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think one other part of this, and sorry, Steve, that Paul and I are bringing a lot of good topics up, but, you know, it's really important to recognize the importance of eliminating toxicity and inflammation in the mouth. And unfortunately, a lot of dentists were not taught about that in dental school. And they place mercury fillings and they do root canals and they don't look for hidden sources of toxicity and inflammation in things where there's necrotic bone, cavitations, and what have you. So it's really important to make sure your dentist is keeping up and understanding the importance of the mouth-body connection.
Okay.
I think so. You know, I can answer one other way on that question too, is that's a good point, Jerry, is are they doing continuing education? Are they still passionate about what they're doing? And what are their thoughts on holistic dentistry? If they shut it down or slam it down in a hurry, then you might ask them further why they feel that way, etc. And you can give them pieces of information because I've found the vast majority of dentists, once they sit down long enough and read something that makes sense, they'll evolve to it, including holistic, biologic dentistry, etc.
You know, what's interesting is that a lot of patients often ask me if I can call their old dentist and just speak to Chris. They went to their dentist and they told them about holistic concepts like they hear on your program, right? The Real Truth About Health. and they get these concepts and they get a lot of information from you, Steve. And they go back to their dentist and their dentist says, oh, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. And I always find that that's ignorant to not believe in science that may have emerged that they didn't hear in dental school. And I think some of them may be afraid of it or afraid to change or used to doing things the same way. But I totally agree with Paul. If they're reluctant to embrace topics that are, I mean, I thought root canals were great when I came out of dental school until I read the science about how they dysregulate your immune system and all these other studies that emerged about root canals producing endotoxins and things like that.